Throughout the history of the NBA, certain playoff runs stand out not just for their triumphs, but for the sheer dominance displayed on the court. From record-setting victories to unforgettable performances, these teams etch their names into basketball history forever. The point of today's video is to see where the 2024 Boston Celtics playoff run ranks up against some of the best. First, let's look at the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers. Led by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, they didn't just win the NBA championship, they steamrolled everybody on their way there. Firstly, Shaq. The Diesel was unstoppable, averaging over 30 points and 15 boards per game. His presence in the paint was obviously a nightmare. He was a great defender, blocking 2.5 shots a game. Then there's a young Kobe Bean Bryant, the phenom who played like a seasoned veteran even though he was super young. Kobe averaged nearly 30 points per game and was relentless on both ends of the court. He always had that Mamba mentality, so he was able to take over games even at such a young age. Like I said before, the Lakers dominated everybody in their way. Their average point differential was 13.5 points per game. And through these playoffs, they set the playoff record at the time of 15 wins with 1 loss, which is good enough for second in NBA history. One of the reasons that this specific Lakers team was so good and dominant was because their defense. They were consistently shutting down elite opponents. They held opponents to only 90.1 points per game. Another factor why this team was so dominant was their depth. Beyond Shaq and Kobe, this Lakers team had key contributions from players like Derek Fisher, Rick Fox, and Robert Horry. The 2001 Lakers didn't just win, they dominated in a way few teams ever have. This is why they are one of the most dominant teams in NBA playoff history. And now, perhaps the most dominant and explosive NBA team in history, the 2017 Warriors. They had everything: the explosive offense, the lockdown defense, the depth on the bench, and the best coach in the league at the time. Obviously, their offense was led by Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. They were a well-oiled machine. They averaged 118.3 points per game in the playoffs. Steph Curry during these playoffs averaged 28 points, 6.5 assists, and 6 boards. And KD, who won the Finals MVP, averaged 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Their defense was just as impressive, with Draymond Green mainly being the head of that spear, holding opponents to just 104.5 points per game on average. The Warriors finished with a 16-1 record in the playoffs, which is good enough for first in NBA history. They also had an average margin of victory of 13.5 points. They set the new standard for dominance. In round 1 versus the Blazers, their average victory margin was 17.5 points, and moving on to the Jazz, it was 15.5, and the Spurs was back up to 17.5 points per game. The 2017 Golden State Warriors won convincingly in almost any aspect of the game, and they truly changed the game. And now on to this year's 2024 Boston Celtics, the NBA Finals champions. This playoff run, they went 16-3. Their combo of depth, experience, and just all-star players is why they're so dominant. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have matured into one of the most dynamic duos in the NBA. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, Sam Hauser, the vet Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard is why this team is so dominant. The depth they have is better than anybody in history. 50% of the games that the Boston Celtics won in this playoffs were by a margin of 15 plus points, and 10 of the 16 wins were 10 plus. I think the real MVP of this team is Brad Stevens. He made all the right plays. He didn't trade Brown. He got rid of Marcus Smart, got Drew Holiday, got Porzingis, got Derek White. He is the real MVP of this team. Now you, the viewer, in the comments below, let me know how you think the Celtics match up as one of the most dominant playoff teams in NBA history.